Alrighty, so we're just going to come straight onto our backs, onto the ground. Pull your right knee in towards your chest, like so, right over to the side, and then stretch the other leg out. So we can get a little bit into these hip flexors first thing in the morning. And then stretching the arm above the head and give yourself a big yawning stretch. Breathing in deeply as you open the body and then just releasing it. Again, breathing in deeply, opening the body. And then taking that knee up. Big circles with the knees, you're massaging into your lower back. Lovely big circles, one direction. And then the other direction. And then taking that left knee right up towards the armpits, stretching that right leg away from you. Taking that right arm above the head, stretching as you yawn. Breathing in deeply. Oh, it does feel good, doesn't it? And then taking both knees together and massaging both around in a circle. One direction. And then the other direction. And then pressing those feet up towards the ceiling and massaging the ankles around. Circling the feet. Flare your toes one direction and then the other direction. That's the way. And then just a couple of presses with your heels up towards the ceiling. Push, 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 push. Press the heels away, pull the toes towards you, rub the back of your legs, give them a bit of warmth, right up near the knees, and then down and towards your bottom. Rubbity-dubbity-dubbity-dub. Turn your toes out slightly with your heels together. So you rub the outside of your legs now. Massaging into that sciatic nervy stretch. Good. And then slowly taking those legs apart. Pushing out through the heels. Rub the inside of your legs. Those adductor muscles. And then just bend the knees and press the heels away. Hold on to your legs as you do this. Bend the knees, press the heels away. Bend the knees. Press the heels away. That's away. Wonderful. Now, just take your feet down towards the ground, but keep your legs apart like so. We're going to exhale, zip up through the pelvic floor and bring your knees together and then release them out to the sides again. So blow out as if you're blowing out a candle. Quite a forceful blowing out. And you want to feel like your pelvic floor, almost like a glass door, glass slider, ranch sliders, closing, and then you're lifting upwards. And as you exhale and you lift upwards, you feel all your corsetory muscles also starting to draw inwards towards your spine and slightly up. Just like a sucking up sensation. If you imagine a vacuum upwards and releasing down. Vacuum upwards on the exhale, releasing down. And release. And release. So we're kind of focusing on that inner canal going up through the cervix towards the tummy button. And it can help just to do a motion with your hands like this to sort of encourage that lifting sensation. 3 more. Beautiful. Place your feet directly down underneath your knees, hands on your mat. Press the heels into your mat to roll up your spine. So you massage the spine. Oh, look, the sun's gone away and that's gone all down. Up again and down. And we want to feel like those vertebrae are pulling away from each other as we come up. And we really want to feel as if our gluteal muscles are activated. So pause here, put your hands on your bum, make sure they are switched on. Beautiful. And then just rise up onto your toes for a moment and down, and then lift your toes and then down with your toes. Up onto your toes, lifting the heels, down, and then lifting your toes, pushing through the heels and down. Up, down, toes, heels, heels, toes. Onto toes, heels up, heels down, toes up. Beautiful. Beautiful. Just massaging across those feet. And then heel toe your feet towards each other. Now I need to rearrange your shoulders. And we're going to exhale, zipping up again as you lift your right knee up towards your chest. And then you place that foot down, pressing down through the heel. Exhaling, taking the other foot up. And then exhaling So we want to create stability through the pelvis here. Exhale on the action, down. Exhale on the action, down. Push down through your hands for stability. Keep your head steady and down. Exhaling, down. Exhaling, down. Just one more on each side. Exhaling, down. Slowly peel your back down onto the ground. Just let it settle there for a moment. Nice deep breath in. And releasing breath out. Deep full breath in. Releasing breath out. We want to make sure the breath comes here underneath the armpits. Now take your feet a little bit wider on your mat. Try and make your toes go forward. We're going to push through the heels and come up on an exhalation again. So we're pushing down, coming up. But then at the end of the exhalation, towards the end of that blowing out, we're squeezing these and the thighs towards each other like a clam shutting. Release them and then peel our way back down again and let your bum be nice and relaxed. Let your pelvic floor be relaxed. So we push up, breathing out, squeeze the knees and the thighs together, release them, roll back down again. Exhaling up, squeeze the knees, release the knees, roll back down. Coming up, squeeze the knees, release the knees, roll back down. So once you've got the pattern of this, you can stay up a little bit longer and puff the breath out as you squeeze the knees a couple of times and then come back down. So you push up, squeeze the knees, puff the breath out, roll back down. Coming up, squeeze, pulse the knees and roll back down again. And up. And slowly come back down. So this is a great stabilizer for the whole pelvic region. We're working quite deep in the pelvic bowl here, around into the levator ani muscles that hold the organs in place, into the glutes that stabilize us, inner thighs, whole shebang. And again, and release. Take the knees up towards your chest, big circles again, release them. One direction, and then the other direction. Again, press those feet up towards the heels, toes towards you, rub the back of your legs, right down by your bum where you've been squeezing. And then again, take those toes out, the heels towards each other. Now this time, take the legs apart, push out through the heels. First of all, we'll rub the inner thighs. And then we're going to do the same thing that we did before, but with our legs straight this time. Take the hands on the outside of the knees. Exhale, pelvic floor is lifting. Core switching on as you lift those feet towards each other, wrapping inwards, and then exhaling. Quite a forceful breath out that lifts the diaphragm and helps us to lift the pelvic floor and activate all our core muscles. Like so. Breathing out. Try going. See if that works. Or maybe just back to. Beautiful. Knees into chest. Circle. And then I'm just going to get you rock and roll up and down your spine. Switching everything on. It's like hitting the reboot button, coming onto hands and knees. Actually, we're going to come down to forearms first. Knees together, shoulders away from ears, chin is drawn back. Take that right foot up towards the ceiling and just start to pulse the heel away from you. Try to keep your hip bones facing the ground so you're not going kind of skew it. Little pulses, we're not kind of pushing the foot up like so. Tiny little pulses, just getting into that right glute. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Fabulous. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now take the foot into your bottom, come up onto your right hand, and then do big circles forwards. So we're abducting, going inwards, getting into that rotator muscle around the hip joint, big circles inwards. Try and point your toes. That's the way. And then I'm going to get you to kick, take your knee up to the side and then kick your foot out to the side. So you can see my little toes up towards the ceiling and little pulses upwards. Pulse, pulse, pulse. It's a horrible one. Pulse, 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 pulse. And then drop that foot down towards the ground. I'm just going to move here so you can see my foot a bit. Drop it down, little toe edge pressing down to the ground, and then sink your bottom back. So we can get into the inner thigh here. Sink your bottom all the way back. Good. Stretching out with the left hand. So right foot out to the side. Left hand out in front. Stretching out, 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 out. So we get into the armpit there. And try taking the hand out to the side a little bit more as well. Just moves the stretch. Very good. Lovely. Coming up, knees together. Drop the hip over to that right side. And we'll do a little bit over to the left side as well. Dropping the hip to the left. Come back into the center, forearms back on the ground, knees together. This time it's the left foot up towards the ceiling, shoulders away from ears. So your torso is as plank-like as you can make it. Base of the ribcage drawing in here. And then little pulses with that heel up towards the ceiling. Pulse, pulse, pulse. So we're getting into gluteus maximus that powers the pelvis. So we really need to make sure that our gluteal muscles don't atrophy as we age. So many women start to lose their glutes, and it's a mistake. Really good idea to focus on keeping strong glutes for this kind of thing. Squats, little pulses, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Make sure the rib cage doesn't flare. You're drawing the base of the rib cage in, keeping those core muscles switched on right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Foot towards bottom, knee out to the side. Come up onto your left hand, and then big circles forward. So this, again, release the glutes, but also just getting a bit of warmth into that, that hip joint. And then we're going to keep that knee out to the side, cock it out to the side, push outwards, hi-ya, kicking outwards, and then little pulses upwards, tiny little pulses. Woo, you can feel this in your abductors, the outer thigh muscles. Little pulses, and then down and come up onto your hands, bend the elbows, and then drop that hip over to the right side. So you're draping it down. Oh, it feels good, doesn't it? And then take the hips over to the other side, drape it down. And let's take the pelvis right up, right around, big circles. Big circles. One direction, and then the other direction, circling around, massaging here. Wonderful. Knees wide now, sinking pelvis back, fingertips out in front, shoulders away from ears. Give the whole body a stretch like a frog. Inhaling into the lower lobes of the back of your lungs, exhaling down. Beautiful. Slowly coming back up onto hands and knees. This time just drop the pelvis down. We've got our knees a little bit closer together. And then tuck your toes. As we exhale, we're going to come forward, switching on core muscles. Wide fingers here. Shoulders away from your ears to start off with. Shins drawn back. Breathing in deeply. Soft belly, and then as you exhale, pulling out from pelvic floor, right up through to rib cage, and you're taking your weight right over those wrists. You are weight bearing through wrists. Pausing here, coming back, inhaling to release, exhaling forward, switching on. Inhaling back, exhaling forward. If you want to, you can bring in a little tricep dip, elbows close to the body, exhaling in to push the floor away from you. So come back, inhale, this is where you release. You exhale forward for the action. You might inhale for a little tricep dip and then exhale again to come up. Otherwise, you are pausing here, exhaling, breathing in, exhaling, breathing in, exhaling. Coming back on the inhale, breathing out for the action, maybe taking a dip, pushing the floor away, coming back. So we want to make sure that elbows, if we're doing this version, are not flaring out to the side. We have no winging here, because otherwise we'll just go into the shoulders. Good. And one more. Beautiful. Take your right fingers out in front of you, drape down. So we stretch, we open the whole armpit towards the ground, shoulder rolling away from ears. And then the other side. So almost like downward dog, when we roll those shoulders away, we're getting a lovely kind of spreading sensation out through the upper back. Hands and knees Lift your tail behind you, tuck your tail, just mobilize the spine a little bit. Inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. Good, and then just sink yourself back into a kneeling position. And I want to get you, first of all, to draw yourself up into camel. Put that in first. So coming up onto camel, we'll open up the front of the thighs here, hip flexors as well. Tuck your toes. Roll one shoulder and then the other shoulder. So do some backwards kind of mobilization through the shoulders. And then take the heels of the hands onto the top of the pelvis, fingers down. Now press your knees into the ground. Imagine you have a string from the pubic bone in the heart center, and they are very slowly being winched up towards the ceiling. So you feel like the front line of the body is starting to lengthen and stretch. Keep the elbows drawn together. Keep pressing hands into pelvis. Imagining those strings are very slowly being winched up. Breathe through your nostrils, and it feels like the breath is coming up through the heart center and out to the shoulders, like a T shape. Opening up those pectoral muscles, the chest muscles. Good. Now imagine you have a string attached to the very crown of your head, and that string is slowly being pulled upwards. So you lengthen the spine, lengthen, 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 draw the chin in, drop the base of the rib cage, and then slowly come down and just pause here. Take a couple of breaths where we're opening up underneath the armpits, opening up the breath into the lower lobes of the back of the lungs, feeling the ears, sitting on top of the shoulders. Then take the hands into the heart center and elbows up, shoulders down though. We're going to use the buttocks to drive us up as we inhale. So we inhale, we squeeze the buttocks, we drive up and take the elbows out at the same time, slightly behind us to stretch here into the chest and then drift down. And you want to breathe in slowly and glide up and then come down. Now, this does not suit your knees. You can do a little version here, just little pulses, but you're still driving through with the buttocks. But if this is available to you, 4 versions, kind of nice. Then take the hands up towards the ceiling, so almost like camel, hands down beside you. Squeeze to lift and stretch and open, and then down beside you. And then again, gliding up, this time hands behind you, full extension, child pose, shoulders away from ears. Inhaling onto hands and knees, tuck your toes, and then spring yourself into Malasana, like so, toes out to the side. Now, elbows or forearms, depending on how low you go, pushing knees apart. So we're opening up those inner thighs, maybe fingertips together, and then just sink down a little bit, but don't tuck your tail under. Shoulders away from ears, back is as straight as possible, heart center is lifting, chin is drawn back, and little smile on the corners of your face. And I want you to relax the pelvic floor and then feel those doors closing. Relax the pelvic floor and then closing. So it's a lifting up through the urethra. It's a feeling like the sitting bones are sliding towards each other slightly. Relax it and then lift it. Relax it, lift it. Now we're going to drive up. So on an exhalation, push the floor away, coming up, coming back down again. Exhaling, ha, to come up, down, go, ha, create a bit of noise, down, ha. So it's like you're clearing your throat, ha, ha, up, ha, driving up, whew, ha, 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 3 more, ha, ha, ha. Good, take the hands behind you, big windmill action here. And then both arms out in front, feet are now parallel, toes nice and wide, sinking down, down, down into Utkatasana, chair pose. So weighted in the heels, shoulders away from ears. Imagine you've got a ball here, draw it towards you. As you exhale, push the ball away, coming up. You drive the floor away from you with your heels as you come up, pushing away, beautiful. Making sure those knees stay on top of ankles. They're not drifting forward. And you don't want to push your pelvis forward at the end. Keep your behind you. As you drive your hands up, we get the whole core citrine area lifting upwards. Try taking one foot out to the side, a little bit wider. Come back into parallel. 3 here. Take the other foot out wide. Driving back, parallel. Beautiful, coming down, hands on hips, big circles to release. Lovely. Getting the breath back, and then bend the knees. Make it a little bit sexier. Arms out to the side, thumbs up, little fingers down, shoulders away from the ears. Squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other. So this is just releasing around the psoas, massaging to the lower back. Great for those rotator muscles. It's great vascular flow right around all those pelvic organs. Very good, well done. So take the hands down here, drop down, rinse the shoulders, exhaling with nice loose jaw as you rinse those shoulders. And one more on each side. Come back into the center. We'll just get these adductors. So pulling over to one side, knee stays on top of ankle, bring those toes towards you, rub the inner thigh. Good. Swing bum behind you, just get right into those hip joints as you do this. And then take the tail up behind you on the other side, rub those inner thigh muscles. Very good. Slowly coming up, both toes to one side. Keep your legs straight for Trikonasana. This is a lovely way just to get the whole body to rinse out. Fingertips nice and vibrant. Taking your hand out in front of your back, hip rolls forward. Drop the hand to land wherever. Stack one shoulder on top of the other shoulder and then drop it down and then lift it. So just get a bit of mobilization through that thoracic spine. And this time, maybe taking the hand up towards the ceiling, chin's drawn in. Your torso is like a rod. You've got a rod through the crown of your head, out through your tail. That's the way. Try taking the hand slightly behind you and dropping the bottom shoulder in slightly. Maybe mobilizing your head. Good. Slight micro bend on that front knee. Coming up and over, now we're stretching the fascia underneath the skin surface, right through that back line. Little toe edge on that back foot, pressing down into your mat. Bend the front knee, slowly come up. Take yourself into archer for a moment, stretching the front line of the body. That's it. And then come back and swivel to the other side. So legs stay straight for Trikonasana. Heel of the front foot intersects the arch of the back foot. Let that back hip roll forward, stretch out through that front hand. And then you're going to do this first, dropping the shoulder down, pulling the shoulder back. Oh, it feels so good in the that mid-back area that gets so congested. Be slightly mindful if you're hypermobile and you tend to lock into your knees. If that's the case, we want a little micro bend there. That's the way. And then taking that hand up towards the ceiling. Let's see if we can roll that bottom shoulder in, top shoulder slightly back. This is a quite a strong twist into that mid back, and then come back into the center. Push into the little toe edge, hand up and over. Good, good, good. And then all the way down. Slight bend in that front knee as you come up, and taking that front arm all the way up. That's it. Fabulous. Bend the knees, swish your fingers across the center of the body, bending and straightening the legs. This is just again, another one of those things you can do to kind of wake up the whole central nervous system. Like so. And then I'm going to get you to pause there and just take the hands, interlace them behind your head. Press the back of your head into your hands, drawing the chin in. Look down at your feet for a moment. We're going to lift those toes, spread them, and have the feet going straight forward. And then slightly bend the knees so they're not locked. Behind is behind you. Base of the rib cage is dropping down. And then pull the elbows back and drop the shoulders down. Keep pressing the head into your hands And then just lift the eye gaze up through that third eye point. And take 3 full deep breaths in. And as you exhale, just do a kind of a hum on the exhalation, like a hum. And a deep full breath in. Elbows back, shoulders down. Eye gaze to that third eye point. One more. Good. So we're weighted through the heels. Head is back. Taking the hands up, stretching the whole body. And down. And take the hands into the heart center, just pressing the thumbs into the sternum for a moment. And feel yourself here in Tadasana, mountain pose. Really grounded through the feet, weighted through the heels. The sort of back line of the body slightly activated. Shoulders nice and relaxed. And just thank yourself for coming and joining in. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.